Welcome to Bridging the Gap. Tonight, the topic of the show is making the right choices. Before we actually get into the taping of itself, we're going to have each one of these young people, who are very distinguished young people, and you're going to be surprised as to what they say. I'm going to have each one of them tell us who they are and give us a little background of who they are. And I'm going to start on my left.
My name is Eric Richardson.
My name is Rajant Myers.
Kevin Teamer.
My name is Kira White.
My name is John Firestone.
My name is Gringo Cueva. I am the former youth pastor over at Living Water Community Church.
Okay, Pastor Gringo, thank you for bringing the young people here tonight, because I think it's something that happens in the world today when we always label young people in such a negative way. Tonight we want to get rid of that and just let people know that yes, we have some very outstanding young people here and across this country, as we want to say, that's actually making right choices. That's why we named the show Making Right Choices, and we will talk about some of the choices they've made and how they have moved on with their life to kind of be sort of a role model for other young people themselves. So give us a little background of your program, how you worked with some of these young people and what you've done to get them to this point.
Mm-hmm. So we would have a youth group on Wednesday nights, and a lot of the topics that would actually have to do with a lot of decision making. I believe sometimes that teenagers, they put themselves in positions where it leads to temporary pleasure, temporary results, but really those temporary decisions that they make can really turn into something permanent. For example, having sex with their boyfriend or their girlfriend, something that's temporary pleasurable, but then the permanent result could be having a baby at such a young age with no future plans ahead of them. So it doesn't have to get that extreme, but I do guide them through making the right decisions in their life, and I do that based on the relationship that I build with each and every one of the students that come across my way.
So how do you actually attract young people to your program? Because it's kind of hard nowadays to get young people to go to something structural, unless it's something that they will get out of it. So how do you do that? How do you attract them to the program?
Really getting down to their level, getting down to the level, understanding them. Every single word that they say, you take it in as if it's something serious. Because I believe that adults today, we don't take our teenagers seriously. So somebody could say, I'm really depressed. We blow it off. Oh, they're just going through a stage in their life. But you got to dig deeper into those situations, because there are reasons why teenagers say certain things. And when they come into my program, we dig into those roots so that the choices that they make will become better choices.
John, I'm going to ask you, what do you think making right choices, what are they, and how has making the right choice or choices changed your life? And I want to ask each one of you the same question. So when John finished, just go down the line.
Well, I believe that right choices are the hardest choices to make. You have good and bad, and majority of the time, bad is the easy way out. And when you grow up, it's very important to have people like Gringo in your life who made the right choices and the wrong choices, and you can see from their lives, which step to take. And I think that making the right choices has been the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. It's like taking a step, a leap of faith, and just saying, I don't know exactly what I should be doing right now, but I'm looking at his life and I saw what he did, so I'm gonna do what he did. I'm gonna make the right choice. I might make a couple people hate me, I might lose a couple friends, but in the end, I'm gonna have peace knowing that I'm okay,
Is that important to you, to lose friends because you've made a right choice that kind of leads away from choices they've made?
Well, over the past 7 months, I've lost almost every single friend that I had. I went from being very popular to everyone knowing my name to almost being, I won't want to say a loser, but in this world, people don't look at me the same anymore. But I look at that as okay because I know what I'm doing with my life now. I know the steps that I'm taking. I know that I'm going in the right direction. And because of that, I don't care if, well, I don't want to say I don't care, but I don't mind if people don't like me. If people don't look at me the same, say, oh, he's cool. Because I know at the end I'm going to make it. They might not because they're so into making other people happy and so into satisfying other people instead of, you know, taking that into themselves. You know, not as much being selfish, but making sure you're okay first. You know, things like that.
Okay.
Well, to go back on what like making right choices is, I think that making the right choice is being able to make a decision that'll better your future. So you can't go through life thinking, well, if I do this now, I'll be okay now, and it might not be the correct decision or the right decision you want to make, but making the right decision can make your future better. And in my life, I know that I've definitely made a lot of wrong decisions, but one of the decisions I made was actually talking to Gringo, because I know that I didn't really like want to talk about anything or whatever, but actually talking to Gringo has made it easier for me not to be angry at people or things like that. So I made the decision to release all of that, and I think that it was the right decision because now I can go on and not have everything all jumbled up and like lashing out at other people and things like that.
So is it easier to talk to Pastor Gringo at that time when you started making right choices rather than talk to your mother, you know, or grandmother or aunt? Is it easier to talk to him or to a relative?
I think it's always easier to talk to another person than a relative or like your mom or something, because you never know if, like, because they're going to try and tell you, well, you know this is right, or they're going to try to, I don't want to say punish you, but they're going to try and like punish you, I guess. And if you talk to someone else that, like, talk to someone like a friend, they can't really, they can give you advice on it, but they can't really say, well, you're going to get in trouble if you do this. They can tell you, well, maybe you probably shouldn't, but you're not really going to get in, you're not going to get like a lecture about it. You'll get more of a conversation instead of maybe getting lectured about it from your
Pastor
parents.
Gringo doesn't lecture you?
A lecture from Gringo is nothing compared to a lecture from your parent, because it's a conversation, but he's letting you know what's real, and he's letting you know how it's gonna be, because Gringo's been through basically everything. So you tell him something, he's like, man, I did that. So let's talk about it and how it went for him. So it's not like, well, you shouldn't do this and that's not right. It's just like, well, I've done this, so let's figure out how you can make the better decision.
I have to say something that, you know, one thing that I learned about hearing from Gringo that you don't hear a lot from people is when he talks, he's talking to himself. When he's telling you how to do something, he's really telling himself too. And that's big. You know, it always starts with a yo, listen. But I know he's saying, yo, listen to you know, you listen too. And that was really big for me as a young kid because I knew he was always being real with me. I knew he wasn't just reading something out of a book. It was a life experience. He was telling us because he didn't want to see us go down the same road.
Exactly. Is that important?
Very important. I know when I was at sometimes the lowest of my lows, I go back and I would think about what Gringo said or just his story, you know. And I kind of say, I'm going down the same thing. I'm going through the same thing right now. What did he tell me to do? What did he tell me not to do? And it helped me get away from the life I was living.
Okay.
Making right decisions, choices. I mean, I'll just start off saying this. Gringo taught me this, in order to see change, like legit change, your comfort zone has to be disturbed. You know, just growing up in a sense with Gringo, growing from my young self, we've come a long way. We've come a very long way, and he's helped me get through some tough times. You know, one thing Gringo does is he, like they were saying, he stoops to your level where you're at. He, you know, like, lets you know he's been in the same spot, and he tells you how to get out of it. But I mean, obviously, it's up to me and whoever he's talking to take that leap of faith, you know, and you make that decision for themselves. But at the same time, Gringo, he does his best to get out of that with you. Reason.
When I think about making right choices, I always think about how it'll affect me in the future, or if an older family member or a friend have done something, and if they affected other people in a bad way or affected themselves in a bad way. And in that moment, I'll determine whether I should go the good way out or the bad way out, you know. But if I don't make the right decision, I tend to run away as opposed to making the bad decision. So, yeah.
So run away mean go hide somewhere, kind of get into your own comfort world?
I just stay to myself. But when I first started going to youth group, and Gringo started too, I noticed that I just needed to start speaking up more, speaking out more. I was really shy. Like, I was a really shy person, kept to myself, kept all my problems to myself, never talked to my parents, never opened up to them. I always thought like they can never understand until Gringo sat down with me and actually listened to me. And he wanted me to speak from my mind. He wanted my own opinion. And he actually heard me out, and he helped me in a positive way.
Well, you're a popular guy tonight. Okay.
With me, I'll say growing up, I realized that making the right decision like leads to great paths growing up. And I say in my 4 years living out here, like I guess when I first time started coming to Living Waters, the first person I actually like started talking to was Gringo, like as an idol. And like he made sure that I was always on the right path, making sure that I wasn't doing anything wrong. Cause like growing up, I had a path where like I was always trying to steal, and I had to learn that from going to Living Waters that that's not the right path. So.
Now I'm going to ask questions, and any one of you can answer these questions. You talk about right choices, making right decisions, and I have a quote that I've been using for years, and it's never take a chance when you have a choice, and I'll explain that later. When you see other young people that are making bad choices, and truly there are some people that will make a bad choice, do you ever go up to them and say, you know, hey John, you know, you're making a bad choice. Maybe you should think about something different, rather than lecture them, kind of help advise them? Do you ever do that? And how would you do it?
Well, I know 90% of the choices that I made that were wrong, bad choices, is because I was scared. I was scared to do the right thing. I didn't think good of myself. I thought that I could only do the wrong thing because, you know, a lot of times, like you said, when you are lectured, you feel like almost the person's telling you, you know, you're bad, you're doing something wrong, you're not good. And when you get that through your mind, you know, a lot of times you get lies into your brain. Your brain feeds you lies. And I know the people who were most influential in my life are the ones that saw what I was going through and just wanted to come and show me love and tell me it was okay. So if I were to see someone who was going through something, I wouldn't start bashing them. I wouldn't start telling them, hey, you're going down the wrong path, because they've heard that 1,000 times. Instead, I'm telling them, hey, you know, I'm going to tell them the things that they are doing good. Tell them, hey, you know, that smile, it may not be fake, but fake it until you make it, you know. I'm going to show them love. I'm going to give them my phone number. Hey, you ever need help? You ever need someone to talk to? I'm here. Maybe they'll never call me, but they're always going to know in the back of their mind that I'm there for them. And whenever they see me, they're always going to know that I care about them. And that wasn't very, very important to me. And Gringo was a person like that in my life. Yeah, I had others, you know, parents, older siblings. But when someone from out of your family who doesn't even know you, might just know you for a week, 2, 3 days, or someone who just met you and you're saying you already care about them, you don't know anything about them. That's where it hits you in your heart. That's when it hits you. That's when I started to want to make the right decisions. When I saw that people cared about me. You know, people weren't bashing me. People weren't putting down my name because I was making the wrong decisions. Because, you know, I always believe it takes someone to make the wrong decision in order to learn what the right decision is.
Very profound. Wow. Anybody else?
I think that, like, if someone comes to me, like, if I'm just, like, out somewhere and I see somebody making a decision that I don't think is right, I am not the type of person to be like, hey, you should probably stop, because, especially if I don't know them, but if someone comes to me about something, or if they come to me and think they're going to make a bad choice or something, like, it doesn't even have to be super extreme, but they think they're going to, like, they say, okay, I'm going to go do this and I know it's bad for me, but I think I want to do it anyway. I would be the one to say you probably shouldn't, but not be like, okay, look, so don't do this, you don't want to get in trouble, blah blah blah. Just at least give them an option, like, you probably shouldn't, maybe you should do this instead. But to just blatantly come to somebody and be like, that's a bad decision, you probably shouldn't, I wouldn't be the one to just jump out at that person. But I know that if someone asked me for advice about a decision they want to make, then I know I'm confident in myself enough to say, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that.
And I understand you've made a very good choice because you're in college now, right?
Yes.
You're a freshman in college?
Yeah, I just finished my first year.
Just in your freshman year. That's something people need to know. You know, but here's someone that was kind of going down the wrong path, got her life together, and thought that I needed a higher education, finishing your first year in college. That is huge. It really is. Because so often people make bad choices and never recover from them because they don't have a Pastor Gringo in their life. They don't have a strong sibling or parent in their life. But you're apparently making some great choices, and we applaud you on that.
Thank you.
Oh, the question, I'm sorry. When it comes to other people making bad decisions, I feel like if it's just a random person, I don't feel like it's my place to tell them what to do and what not to do. But if they come to me and ask my opinion about what they're doing or what decision they should make, I would give my own opinion and be honest with them. But if it was just a random person, I feel like they already know what they're doing bad, so the last thing they need is for someone to bash out on them. They need someone to love on them. You're supposed to hate the sin but love the person. You're not supposed to just go in on their life. They're going to be broken down already. They're going to be even more broken down by the things like you're telling them, even though they already know. So I would love on the person as opposed just to speak of what they did, even though they already know what they're doing.
She's got some religiosity in this, Pastor.
You learn from the best.
Anyone else?
I feel like all of us would approach a situation different if we seen somebody doing something. Some people be hesitant to approach them. Me, I have blinders on. I'll go straight forward, and I'll let them know my opinion on it just because of my background. And you need tough love, whether it's a stranger, whether if it's a friend, you need tough love. And another thing is be consistent. So it's not just the one-time thing where you walk up to them, hey, I think you should do this. You see them again, they're doing it, you're like, they're not listening. Go up to them again, let them know, hey, I'm still here for you, need to talk. Like John said, give them your number, you have to be consistent because that's when, that's when they'll know it's here, like, that somebody actually cares. So that's a big thing.
When it comes to like seeing people that make bad decisions, like I would come to them like to say like pretty much think of it as a future reference, like pretty much like pretty much picture yourself in the future if you kept doing the same thing. So and like most time it actually helps. So
Question for all of you. You look at the news every night, if you look at the news, or you hear stories from your friends, parents, or whoever that's really talking to you. What do you think the problem is today that are causing so many young people to go down the wrong path?
Pride.
Okay, you say, go ahead. All right. That's right. No, that's good. That's good. I want you to do that. Go ahead. What is it?
I just think it's pride. It's a big pride issue. All of us here have it. If you say you don't, you have a pride issue.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge thing, that just walking down the street or holding the door for somebody or just, it can be something so simple to something serious. It's just a pride issue. And that's in my opinion, what I'm looking at.
So it's a pride issue that causes young people to make a bad choice? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so gang related, just their future, college, or just taking the wrong path is just your friends that's hanging around you. So, if your friends are telling you to do something wrong, it's like, what are you gonna do? You wanna look good for them or look good for yourself? And some people wanna look good for others. So it's just something they can't shake.
Okay. Anybody else want to?
I think it has a lot to do with fear too. You know, we're put into our minds now where we can do anything. We can be anything, which is true, but when you give a kid that, a sense of fear comes with it if they're not given the right steps in order to, you know, it's just saying, you know, you can do anything, you're on your own. It's a lot to take on. As before, where, you know, you took over what your parents were doing. You took over a family business. You know what you were doing as a kid. But now it's, you can be whatever you want to be. And I know that fear was put into me. I was expected so much as a young child. I was the youngest of 4 boys, and none of them had gone to college. My parents had put, you know, you're the last one, you got to go. Senior year, I was a great student, high GPA, always went to school. I ended up dropping out. I completely turned my life around from good to wrong. I used to attend church. I got into gang activity. I started doing drugs, selling drugs, all because of that fear. Is I didn't think I was good enough to be whatever I wanted to be, because there was choices that I made that I didn't think I could overcome. It took a lot of prayer and a lot of hope and a lot of time, and I had to overcome that pain. That pain of not feeling good enough and the lies, because you can be whoever you want to be, but it's going to take you to do it. Yeah, you're going to have support. Yeah, there's going to be people like Gringo, people like Kevin, but it wasn't until I made those choices and I overcame that fear of talking to someone, of going and getting talking to a boss, getting a better raise, getting a higher position, studying harder, going and talking to teachers, telling them the next steps I can make. It wasn't until I got over that fear that I really understood the meaning of you can be whatever you want to be. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is fear. And fear goes along with pride.
Pastor Gringo, you and I had some lengthy conversations on how do we help young people make better choices. Now, you've had some of the, I guess, more aggressive young people who are making bad choices, and to some degree, from evidence we see here tonight, you've helped turn their life around. How constructive was that, and how serious was that for you to do that? How do you do that?
Well, you know, a lot of programs, a lot of at-risk youth programs, they think programs can save these teens' lives. It's not that. There's no formula on how to get down to their level. There's no formula on how to get them to speak. The number one formula that I can come up with is to just really genuinely love on them. You know, there was John Maxwell said, people don't know how much you know until they know how much you care. And just building that relationship with them, giving them something consistent in their life, showing up on a consistent basis and asking them how they're doing. If they say they've messed up, drop everything and take time to listen. Take time to listen, because I think a lot of adults nowadays, we're so busy trying to figure out our own problems, but when a teenager is crying their heart out to you, we just have to learn how to just stop and listen. Just learn how to drop things and listen. That's it. I mean, that's all what the program that I have, whether it's Monday nights in open gym for basketball, hanging out with them, really going down to their level, even though, yeah, I'm a pastor and stuff like that, but, you know, aside from them seeing me as a pastor, they see me as a friend. They see me as an older brother, as a father figure, as a mentor. You know, wear all these different hats. I don't do anything special. I really don't. I just see potential in each and every one of the teens that walk into that community center, into that youth center, and I just love on them. Despite whatever past they may have or whatever it is that they're going through, I'll just continue to just love them. And let me tell you, love, it conquers all. It does.
You know, we have a young person in the audience named Denise Ivan. I'm sure, I know Pastor, you know her. And I just kind of think about her life many years ago, and see some of the attitudes that she had and how she was and how she's turned her life around and part of the Heart organization. So in doing that, what makes a person actually want to put trust in you? What would you say to make them want to put that kind of trust in you? Because nowadays people are very different, very different. That's kind of nice. Uh, because they come up to you and all of a sudden there are wrong ways of doing things. It's hard to trust anybody nowadays, and it's why as young people, when you talk to them, they go, well, I used to talk to them, but all of a sudden I find out that they were this, that, or the other. And they look at the heroes that are out there. And I always say that some of the heroes you see turn out to be zeros later. So who is your hero? And I'm going to ask each one of you that. Who is your hero? Starting with you, John.
I gotta say my mother. I know when I dropped out of high school, I moved out of my house. I was only 18 years old. I moved into the people who I was doing drugs with and who I was in gang relations with. And I know I broke her heart completely. I remember walking out the door, her begging me not to leave, crying. But she still made sure she called me and texted me as much as I would allow her to. She still made sure to tell me that she loved me, even though I bashed her name and cursed her out and told her I didn't want anything to do with her. She supported me, everything that I was doing that I told her I was doing, trying to, make sure, let her know I was okay. I saw my mom, who was, at one time, I didn't even know who she was. She was on let's just say she was going through some of her own things in her life. I saw the pain that she was going through as a young kid, and I saw how she overcame it. And I looked to her as a hero because she loved me no matter what. She was there for me no matter what. No matter how much I made her worry at night or cry herself to sleep. When I was at the lowest of my lows, she was the first person I went to. She's the first person to tell me who I was, how much I was worth, what I could be, and how much she loved me. So for that, she's my hero.
Okay.
I mean, when he says it sounds like really cool and stuff. But I have to say that my hero is my grandma. I call her Nani. She's been there for everything. I mean everything. That's my best friend. I tell her everything. There's probably nothing. There might be a couple things, you can't tell your grandma everything. But there's probably like little to nothing she doesn't know about me. And we're like complete opposite, but we're the same. But the way she gets through certain things, and like she's more of a calm person, and she doesn't like conflict and anything like that. And I don't like conflict either, but I get kind of angry sometimes. But her calm like destroys my anger, and it's just like she's just the best thing ever. She's my best friend, and I couldn't. She's like the first person I could think of ever being my hero.
Is your grandma in the audience?
She's right there.
I kind of figured. Okay. And I know you're not just saying that because she's here.
Yeah,
I know
no.
you're saying it because you truly believe and feel that that's your hero. And that is good for her to hear, because I'm sure sometimes she kind of figure, I wonder if this girl is listening to me, But that is great to have. And all right, Kevin, who's your hero?
LeBron. No, I was playing. No, but my hero, it had to be Ray Lewis, though. I played for the Baltimore Ravens. Growing up, I played football. I'm sorry, my parents not my hero. I'm sorry, I break that cycle. But yeah, his passion for the game. I played football growing up, so I basically mirrored everything he did. So that was just me growing up. Just his frustration when a play went bad, just everything. And he always, like, at the end of, I'm not gonna say at the end of every game, but every interview I've ever watched, I probably watched them all, it's always a positive message. And he's not even playing in the game anymore. It's been 2-3 years. But he still has a positive message. He gets on the internet all the time and just talks to his fans and everything. So that's me.
Okay.
Okay. My hero is my grandfather, Connor Cadet. He actually recently passed away in December. But when growing up, my parents, we weren't really in our family, we weren't really in we were in the right place. And so my parents would send me and my siblings to my grandparents' house and let them figure themselves out. And I just remember my grandfather just loving on me. He would call his house like our second home. So he was always welcoming us there. And recently he had a stroke. So seeing him battling his health, and he just stayed positive. I could never remember a time where him just complaining about the pain that he had. He would just have people come over and say, hey, how are you? Even though he was in pain and he was going through something. So despite how he felt, he always seek other people out. He would always talk to them, whether he was depressed or just had something going on with him. He was always considerate of others and just loved on other people. Even when I would bring friends over to the house, he would love on them, even if they didn't even know them. And just seeing him battling through hard times, seeing our family in a hard time, he's like the glue. He kept everyone together, you know. But yes, he is my hero.
Now that your father, I'm sorry to hear that your grandfather has passed.
Oh.
Now, what have you replaced that with? Is there someone now that you consider that rock that you depend on now?
Sadly not at the moment, but I know I do have my trust in Christ, and I do depend on him for everything. So even though I know my grandfather isn't with me now, I do have someone that I can take with me the rest of my life.
Well, you don't have to worry about him going anywhere. That's really good. Okay.
For me, it's my brother. Like growing up, like we didn't have a stable family, but he was always there to keep like the balance, make sure everything was straight. Cause like when I moved out here to the suburbs, like even when I was growing up, I had to go through depression. So every morning I would have to call him to make sure like I had like somebody to talk to and make sure I was straight. And cause like I know my mom, she was always at work, making sure everybody at the house had food on the table. But my brother, he was always there to make sure everything was stable. Like in the morning, at night, he used to pray to us, make sure everything was just stable. That's it. Yeah.
So I'm going to reverse this now. Who would you like to be a hero to, and why?
I say my little sister. Yeah, my little sister, cause like that's one thing I don't want her to go through the same thing we did growing up. And I thank God that like we out here in a better place where we don't have to worry about what stuff we had to go through in the city. So that's one thing that's I'm happy about.
Okay.
I would like to say my youngest sister, Genevieve, because I have 4 other siblings, but Genevieve's the youngest, so then we're all older. And since she sees us as examples, I want her, as opposed to just learning from her example, learn from our examples. That way she can just go on and make the right decision and know what to do. So, yeah.
My children, my son, he's 3 months, and my daughter, she's 4. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory, killing the spiders in the house, really just being there for him at night, in the morning, in life in general, just being their rock. That's the biggest thing.
I'm not actually, I really don't. I have younger siblings too. I don't, I guess I would want them to be able to like look up to me and me be the hero too, but I actually don't. I don't really know. I don't have any words. I don't. Yeah, I guess just because I want them to be able to look up to me and things like that. So I guess I would have to say both of my younger siblings.
And I think your younger siblings would probably say that you would be their rock, just for the direction that you've taken to finish school and start college and moving on toward college. What do you want to do when you get out of college? And do you plan on finishing college?
I do plan on finishing college, and I actually want to be a school counselor. and or just a counselor, period. Just because my counselor, I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name, if that's gonna get her in trouble or something like that, but Lori, she is.
So let me say it anyways.
She's been my counselor for, or therapist, counselor, whatever you want to call her, for a really long time, and she's helped me get through a lot of things, and I want to be able to do that for other people. It's like I'm always willing to help someone if they need to talk or anything like that. So basically, my goal when I got out of college is to be able to do what I love and help people just like I was helped when I was coming up.
You see, you want to be a hero for a number of people. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Honestly, I want to be a hero for whoever I can, any person that I come in touch with, because I know there's some people who don't have people in their lives, some people who don't have families, some people who don't even know what love is, never felt it. And it can be just that one special person that they meet that can change their whole lives. And that's the person that I want to be. The person that's never going to judge you, who's only going to love you, who's never going to let you down but bring you up. Because like my mom, my hero, that's what she did. I never remember my mom hearing her judge someone, never talking bad but talking good. Yeah, maybe my friends, who she knew weren't good for me, but she still wanted me to bring them over. She still wanted me to, let them know they were welcome at my house. Because that was the message that I learned growing up from my mom, and it took me a long time to realize it was love conquers all. And it's what changes people's hearts.
You plan on being a minister someday? Gee, wow, you got some very profound, all of you have some very profound statements. Pastor, question, because you've been there, done that, why is it that young people are so eager to join gangs? We see that, we hear that, and you would think, why would you want to be in an environment that you could lose your life? Why do you think young people want to be in a gang?
It's just that. It's their environment. Some of the guys that I've talked to in open gym, they say, hey, Pastor, I want to change. I'm like, you can. It's not that easy. I'm like, why not? When you see it 24/7 and it's around you 24/7, you're born into it. You can't get out of it. They're just there. Another reason why they gravitate towards that is because of the community that they have. Like if a village can have the same kind of community where they can make people feel accepted and belonged, like to me, truthfully, it's like a shame that gangs understand that better than the community. They understand how it feels like to be accepted, to be cared for, to be belonged. If the community can find a way to even, I dare say, copy the model of how gangs are organized, I'm telling you, there would be more of these guys coming out of it. Because I don't think sometimes the community or even like churches, we don't really do a great job making people feel accepted, belonged, or even cared for. So when people step into open gym, I allow that for them. Like I allow that family atmosphere for them. I mean, even if it's just for that moment that they don't have to think about getting into fights, even if it's just for those 3 hours, that's good enough for me. But it's easy for them because the kind of family that gangs bring, that's what they want. You have to understand, a lot of these teens nowadays, this generation, we're coming from from broken families. So when you get a whole bunch of guys or girls that come from broken families, that's how they relate to one another. And because that's how they can relate to one another, that's how they end up joining into those gangs. Because there's a form of relation.
And I think so often too, young people, high school, middle school, have that concern. And the question always comes up, what does a 16-year-old kid have to be so angry about at 7 o'clock in the morning? And I always say, follow that kid home the day before and see what they go through until they come back.
Yes.
How does that resonate with you guys? What do you think would make a young person so angry in a 24-hour cycle that they want to become violent, they want to become disrespectful, they just want to be left alone? Don't bother me. Why would they do that?
I believe it's stress, mainly stress, because like school's hard. Like school's hard. Then coming home to deal with your parents, it's hard. So
You know, it's funny saying that too. You're dealing with your parents. You know, usually it's parents dealing with your kids.
Yeah.
But the generation that we live in now, I don't want to say this bashing adults, but adults are so consumed in their own lives that they forget to look, hey, I'm raising a kid. You know, I know growing up, there was times I had to take care of my parents. That was the main thing on my mind when I woke up is mom and dad okay? And to put that on a kid who's 10, 11, 12 years old is a lot. You're talking about taking care of someone who's already been through life and you just started, you know. And to talk about, joining a gang. A lot of people who come from broken families, like I said, I have 4 older brothers, and my brothers, I was the youngest, so they kind of went on with their lives by the time I was already in my teens. They're already grown, have their own families, their own jobs, own careers. So I was kind of left alone, and at a young age, I reached out to them, but they weren't there like an older brother should be. So when I started, just going to high school, meeting people, inviting me to go and party with them, whatever. When I started to feel that love, I was like, man, this is what I always looked for. This is what I always wanted out of my own brothers. So I started to call them my own family, and they felt like own family. They might not have been blood, but I had a stronger connection with them than I did with people who were my blood. So I looked at those people as the people who cared about me, the people who knew best for me, the people who loved me, because they were the ones who accepted me. It took me a while to realize that, my real family was my real family, and I needed to try to build those relationships with my brothers. Even though they might have hurt me in the past, I had to be the bigger brother, even though I was the little brother, and reach out to them. It's been hard, but I know that one day I'll be able to look back and say, wow, I could have made the other decision and continued to hate them, and continue to blame them, for the decisions I made, because that's what I used to do. I used to say, they didn't love me, so this is why I'm doing this. When really I was just talking out of my hurt and my pain. And instead, I decided now to overcome my hurt and my pain, because I know that was the right choice to make, And I'm very pleased with the results. Yeah, they've been hard, but I know we're gonna make it in the end, because I have no idea what they went through as a kid. I wasn't there, so I can't say that. But I know that I'm gonna show them as much love as I can possible, and I'm gonna take as much pain as I can for them.
This show goes by pretty quick, and I'm going to let each one of you leave the audience what message you want. And I alluded to earlier when I say that I have this saying, never take a chance when you have a choice. And the way I allude that to is I tell the young person, you're standing on a corner, and the light is red, meaning you don't cross that street.
Right.
You have the choice to stay there and not cross the street. But you take the chance and go across that street, and you think you got all the cars in view, but you don't see the blind side that's coming behind you. So when you take a chance and not take that choice, sometimes that chance allows you to never make another choice in your life.
Right.
Because you didn't take the time to pay attention to details around you. And that can go with any part of life. Why take a chance and join a gang when you got the choice to walk away?
Right.
Why take a chance and you're in school and you say, well, I'm not going to study for this test tonight, when you have the choice to do that and you take the test the next day and fail? See, life is all about choices. And if we don't make the right choice, it causes us to have a really negative life because we're just not paying attention to details. So I'm going to have each one of you, what message do you want to leave the viewing audience with? And you guys have come up with some very good statements, some very good analogies on how things are in your life, where you've been, where you are. So what message would you want to leave? 12 young people are sitting there watching this show. What would you want to tell them?
I want to say there's always hope. No matter where you are in your life, no matter the choices that you've made, no matter what people have said about you, what you've been through, there's always hope. There's always someone who cares about you, someone who's praying for you, someone who loves you. And it's up to you if you want to believe those things. You see, we live in a generation where majority of the people we live with are fake. They're trying to be something that they're not because they're believing in fake things. It's time to believe the truth. It's time to believe in yourself, not in other people, but in yourself, which you know is true in your heart. So I say, the message I want to leave to those viewers is there's hope, hope in the community, hope in the church. There's people like Pastor Gringo who want to love you, who want to show you that there's a way out of whatever you're in.
And I want you're doing great, John, but I want you to look at the camera so the people will see that, when you talk, and each one of you, look at the camera. Don't look at me, look at the camera. You're talking to an audience. Look at that camera and like what you were saying and tell them exactly what they need to know, because there's so many young people that need help. They don't know where to go to get it, and where they think they were getting it, it's not what they thought it was. So.
Well, I'll say this. Every person in this world has a conscience. And their conscience is what is telling them what's right and what's wrong. You might have been through some horrible things. You might have experienced some pain that I don't understand, and you might not even understand. But there's always a way out. There's always a second chance, whether with a God, whether you do it yourself. It's up to you. You want to take that leap of faith. If you want to better yourself. I look at my life 6 months ago and I can't believe where I'm at now. Not because of the choices I made before, but the choices that I'm making now. I never thought that I'd go back to school and finish it and graduate. I never thought I'd be going off to college. I never thought that I'd be making a positive impact in my community. And it's because of hope. It's because of people like my mother and like Pastor Gringo who saw the good in me. But it wasn't until I reached out to those people that I saw that they saw the good in me. So I say, if you are hurting, if you're in pain, reach out to someone that you know cares about you, loves you. And if not, go to church. Go meet some people who are gonna want to help you.
You might almost lost them there, John. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. If they can't find it somewhere else, there's always hope in church, no doubt.
What I just want to say is there's always a chance and a time for you to make the right choice. Even if you don't feel like it's the right, even if you don't feel like you really want to, there's always an opportunity for you to make the right choice. And if you sit and think about it, you most definitely will be able to make the right choice, no matter what you think in your head or no matter what anybody is telling you. What you know that'll better your future, that's the choice you need to make. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you for making the right choice and going to college. We need young people to get out there and be the future of what we're involved in now. Kevin.
If you're watching this and you woke up this morning, it's as simple as that. If you wake up, then you have an opportunity to do something with your life. Hopefully good and wrong, but I mean, it's another day for another opportunity. That's the way I see it. No person is greater than the next, and that's how you have to look at life. Nobody can put on two shoes at a time, I don't think. But it's always one foot then the next foot. So I mean, you have to go in life with that mentality, and like they were saying, seek for help. Put the pride aside and take that leap of faith.
And I can see you, being married and have 2 young kids. You have a great opportunity to be someone's hero, because they're going to look at you and say, Dad this or Dad that. How do I do it? And you have a great opportunity to make that decision.
I would say don't live in the past. Just think about how your decisions will affect you in the future. Make the right decisions. Don't go the easy way out or run away or just make the bad decisions, because of course you'll have bad things come your way. But if you make the good decision and be positive, then good things will come your way. It may not be easy, but you'll get to where you need to be. As what Gringo told me, he said, it doesn't matter how you, sorry, it doesn't matter, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All I'm saying is just,
It's
it's
not
just
how you
say,
start, it's how you finish.
yes, I'm sorry. It's not a matter of how you start, it's how you finish. And I feel like as long as you finish the race and make good decisions and not live in the past, then you'll be in the right place. There you go.
It's good having him here, isn't it?
Great.
My message to you is have faith. Whatever life throws at you, always look back at yourself and say, I can get past it. Whatever comes to you, always have someone that's close to you talk to you. Just always keep faith. That's all.
Pastor, so how do you leave that message? You got a young audience out there that's looking at you. I mean, they've heard these young people talk about how you've inspired them to make right choices and how you've inspired them to start doing better with their life. That you got one young lady that's off to college, another one that decided to go back to school. And I'm sure, Kevin, he's going through the school process, his learning process, and the rest of them. So how do you get someone that's just, I'm done. I don't think there's anything out there for me. You can't tell me anything. I've been there, I've done that, and I can't see any light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, everything you just said is a lie that we believe. We tend to believe. But for the viewing audience, I just want to let you know that your past, it doesn't define you. How you were raised doesn't make you that person. And that's a lie that I have struggled with the rest of my whole entire life. That I'm not good enough. I'm never going to get anywhere. I mean, my parents never even asked me when I was younger, what do you want to be when you get older? I remember my dad, he said, well, actually, I lied. My dad, he would go, you should be a lawyer because you have an answer for everything. But I don't think that counts. But your past doesn't define you. I believe in you. Go around people that have a positive impact in your life. Don't believe those negative things that have been said to you. I tell the students I reach out to all the time, and I ask them, the richest place in the world is the cemetery. And the reason why it's the richest place in the world is because people, young and old maybe, they are buried 6 foot under with the potential and the talents that they never even got a chance to see grow. And I just want to let you know that there's a talent, there's a potential in each and every one of you. Don't let it go to waste. Don't let it go 6 feet under with you. The world has to see it because you guys are the ones who's going to make a difference in the world.
Well, I've never heard that before. Wow. Cemetery is the richest place in the world because of all those skills that were never displayed while they were here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of a scary thought when you think about it. I mean, to think that there was potentially a greater basketball player than Michael Jordan.
LeBron James.
You know what I mean? But because of maybe the wrong choices or the lies that people have believed in their lives, they just got buried with it. And I'm just going to take this time to just thank Pastor Ken and Crystal Hansen, the former pastors of Living Water. I was 23 years old when they took me in and assigned me the task of being the student ministries pastor over at Living Water. He took me in when I was broken. He took me in when I was hurting. I didn't even go to school to become a pastor, but he saw that potential in me. And they say great leaders change people's lives. And I hope in the position that I'm in, I could do the same thing for those who just seem marginalized, those who feel like they have no hope, they're not good enough. I'm telling you, you are good enough. It just takes somebody like Pastor Ken and Crystal to believe in somebody who believed their whole life that they weren't good enough. And as long as I'm here, I'm going to go after those kids. I'm going to go after those teens that I see potential in. And I can guarantee you those are the ones that are going to change the world. Those are the ones that are going to make the difference in the world. And it just takes, and I can't do this on my own. I'm going to need the whole community to stand behind this. And when they see a teen that's hurting, dig in deeper and see the reasons why they're hurting. You'll be surprised.
And, we've lost a great person that had been around for a number of years. We talking about Joanne Robinson from the Heart Program. And you're involved in that now, and so is Denise Ivy that's involved in that program. She changed hundreds of people's lives, young people's lives. I mean, hundreds. Because she had a passion for young people. She believed in young people. And she didn't believe that a mistake you made defined who you were. And that is just so profound to have a lady like that has moved on. But you know what? Someone else has to pick that baton up and run with it. And as you're doing now, and as Denise is doing now, you've already changed some young people's lives. That's going to allow them to change other people's lives. People always say, young people are our future. That's true, but it's not exactly all true, because they're also our present. We don't have a present, you can't have a future. That's right. So you're our present now that's going to lead people into the future. And we need to make sure that we're giving you the right tools to make those decisions. And it seems like you guys are well on your way. You know, I always say there's no such thing as a bad child. It's just a child that's made a bad decision. And if we can ever get to a decision, we can change that young person to become better. Pastor Gringo, I want to thank you for what you've done for these young people, because this world isn't lost when we have people like you, and we have people like you that listen. Because if you don't listen, there's a problem. You know, so I want to thank you. This is Bridging the Gap. My name is Leroy Brown. Thank you.